Hello, everyone who is tuned in with Kalonda Kay. You know what it is. I always have nothing but the best of the best to talk to dig into the context, and get to know these amazing individuals that are on this platform. And today, I'm super excited because I have Life Garland, producer, director, editor, has done some amazing things to join me. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here with Kalonda Kay.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just always excited to talk.
And with that, we were talking the other day, and you were like digging into some stories, and I'm like, no, 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 don't go deeper because I want the world to know these things. I want the world to know who you are because you have truly shared an amazing just snippet of your journey with me, and I want everyone to know how you got started first into even producing, editing, and directing.
Well, funny enough, it was actually accidental. I really wanted to be an actor, right? So in doing so, you have an audition, right? But you have to have your days open to audition. So I
Okay.
actually got a security job at a post house. But that post house happened to be Propaganda Films, which was one of the biggest production companies on the planet at that time, who spawned Michael Bay, Antoine Fuqua, Spike Jones. The list just goes on and on. Like some of the biggest directors today, I happen to be the security guard at their post house. And so
Wow.
what happened, and so what happened was there was an editor there that I would always see, him like working, into like the wee hours. And every time he got off, we would always strike up like a conversation. Really nice guy. And one day he just said, "Hey, have you thought about being a PA?" I'm like, "What's that?" "A production assistant." I'm like, "No." He said, "Take your resume, take your resume in, whenever he said it, and then see if you would be interested in doing that, right?"
Wow.
So my silly butt took in my picture and resume
Oh, okay.
and left it at the office manager's desk, right? So probably about a day later, 2 days later, I got a call and I became a runner at that company initially, just
Wow.
delivering packages and whatnot. And
Yeah.
and as soon as I saw production and how it worked and all that it entailed, I just really fell in love with it. Like I wanted to
No.
know everything about it. Whereas before, I thought that I just wanted to be in front of the camera. I'm like, no, it's behind the camera is where I belong. Yeah.
Yes. And you hear a lot of people say that, like, oh, it's so fun behind the
It's so
camera.
much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, because if you're on camera, you only can be one role, right? But behind it, you see everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah. Yeah.
what an amazing person to just see something in you. Sometimes is that how it just starts the journey. They see, hey, you can be great at this.
It
And
was a blessing. I know because I'm like, I didn't know anything about production, nor did I aspire to even want to do anything behind the camera. So it's just like, it's God's way of like, hey, look, if you're open to blessings and open to trying new things, it actually opens up your world, you know?
nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes. I
so
love that.
yeah, it just takes one person. But fortunately, along the way, I've had a few people believe in me. So, so
Yes.
you know,
Speaking of those few people,
and believing in yourself, of course, it starts there. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Name those individuals who actually believed in you, took you under their wing, and kind of just showed you the ropes that are influential for your
Geez,
journey.
you know what? I've had a lot of mentors. I would say Joyce Washington, who's a big producer now. She was the office manager of Propaganda Films at the time,
Nice.
um, and from there, in my editing journey, a gentleman by the name of Michael Schultz and another gentleman by the name of Dan Leventhal. You can look them both up. They're huge in their own right.
Yes.
And then in my directing journey, I would say Joseph Kahn really looked after me, you know, in a way that no one ever did. And I say that because he actually taught me things where a lot of directors don't really want to give up their tricks or, you know, really go in depth on how they actually make things connect and work.
Yeah.
That's no, you know, that's no diss to anybody. I just found that Joseph was, you know, really open to me about that, sharing his knowledge. And I mean, he's a genius, you know, and I was very fortunate to, you know, learn that side, but he's also an amazing editor. So it's like, you know, we connected on two fronts, and it's just, you know, we've been friends for 20 something years now, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you choose between when you want to direct, edit, produce, or you just say, I'm doing it all? How do you make the decision to, to
You know,
choose which one to do?
it's not you know, a hard decision to make. It's really, it comes out of necessity, you know, like, you know, Akon said something to me that was funny once, you know, because I shot this short film that you see behind me, you know, and you see my name everywhere, right? You know, executive producer, editor, you know, director, and all that stuff, right? And I'm like, you know what, I'm not a control freak whatsoever. It's just that sometimes you have to wear those hats because no one else can be bothered, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, you know, if there's not a lot of money, then, you know, it's sometimes you know, you have to wear different hats. But yeah, I mean, it's usually out of necessity, and, you know, because I really want to do it. Like, you know, I enjoy doing it. So
Yes.
it's not like, you know, hard, you know, it's not
Hard
hard work.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's
Uh,
your passion.
yeah.
Does that make the difference? Yeah,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
loving
yeah,
what you
yeah.
do.
Yeah, but you know, to anybody out there that tells you that you have to pick one, I understand where that comes from. It's a disciplinary, you know, thing, like, you know, focus on one discipline and really get great at it. I get
Yeah.
that. But sometimes out of necessity, you have to, you know, become a producer. You know, you have to, you know, just use whatever facilities that you have to, you know, to make it happen, because no one, and remember this, no one cares about the labor. They just want to
Mm,
see the baby. They just want to see the baby.
yes.
No one cares. Literally, no one cares what you've been through. No one cares about the story. Just give me the baby, and the baby
Yes.
better be dope, you know?
That is some good advice. That
Yeah.
is so true. That's so true. You think about even in a lot of fields of work, people forget about the labor. They're like, it costs this much, but
No one
yeah, it's a
cares. No one cares. No one cares. Did you do a good job? That's it. Nobody
that's
cares. Nobody cares.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your first film, in case no one knows, that you worked on? Give everybody a list of like the great names of individuals you work with.
Oh, wow. The first film I ever worked on. Oh, wow. That goes way back in the day.
Uh,
I'll, me as a director, or is that what you're
well,
saying?
yes, as the
Editor?
director. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, your list is phenomenal. I'm just like, it's no way we can go through everything Life Garland has done or who he's worked with. So let's start with your directing. What
Okay.
was the first movie you
So,
directed?
well, let's take it back, because you
Okay.
gotta kind of know how I started to then see how I got to directing films, right?
Yes.
So, uh, I had a friend who's a rapper, right? And at the time, he was looking to do a music video, and right before that, his friend is Paul Hunter. I don't know if you know who that is. Paul Hunter. Have you heard that?
Okay. No, I have not.
Okay, you can look him up really quick, but
Let me see.
he's
Okay.
a owner of the production company Pretty Bird. now, right?
Okay.
A lot of big directors there, does a lot of lots of work. I'm sure you've seen all of his work and all of his director's work. Anyway, back then, he gave me the opportunity to edit Lauryn Hill's "Sweetest Thing," right,
Yes.
for Love Jones soundtrack. And so at the same time, and this is what a lot of people don't know about me, is at the same time I got the opportunity to begin to edit was the
Mm.
same time I got the opportunity to direct.
Okay. So they coincide. They went together, basically.
It just went together. And it's not like, it was anything I was looking to do, but when I shot my friend's video, at that point, it's like you don't shoot something just to shoot it. You shoot it to
Right.
show it. Right,
There
right?
you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So after shooting the video, I sent my little VHS tape or whatever it was at the time. Was it DVD or VHS? No,
Yeah.
but all I know is it was around like 1998, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then Philip Atwell, you can look him up. He did all of Eminem's first videos, like all of them. Okay,
Yes.
and so he signed me as a director. So my first big music video was Dungeon Family, uh, um, Witch Doctor, Heaven Coming.
Mm. Yeah.
That was,
Okay.
yeah. So it went from spending $3,000 to shoot a video. No, seriously, my next video was 100 grand.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So you just never
Just
know,
like that though. You never know.
just like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was like my first, like, funny thing. Like, I see that video as a short film because it was.
Mm,
So I would say it went all the way back then. Um,
nice.
and so yeah,
And I know I love how you took a chance on yourself, right? So you said you went in, applied for a job for security. You were recognized to say you need to be doing this. You took the leap of faith,
leap of
met
faith,
individuals, and then my goodness, like
leap of faith.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Never know. You never know. Although I will say, in my spirit, I always wanted to be in the industry because as a kid, you know, all the films that I saw and during that time, which is a whole nother story. But like it really affected me. It gave me hope, you know,
Mm,
um, a lot of the films I was watching. And it just made me feel something. So I'm like, oh wow, I would love,
nice.
that's what actually started the journey of acting, thinking I wanted to be the guy that gives you that feeling, right?
Mm,
But
okay.
little did I know that it's the director directing these people,
Yeah.
right? And then it's the editor putting the performances together. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it all goes together. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just
You
that you have to respect your craft and you got to go hard every time because
every
you
time.
don't know, you know, when your next job is going to be, or you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to be the hardest worker in the room, always.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, did you say when I am going to edit, I'm going to have this distinct look to my product? I'm going to have this distinct look because this is my passion in developing what I create. Did you have something like that in your mind and in your heart to say, I've seen these films, but I want to add this to mine?
Yeah, but what I have to say is that you know you're a product of what you've seen over the years, and subconsciously you start to know what makes you enjoy a film, or you start
Mhm.
seeing and learning techniques that you like to implement, right?
Yeah.
I happen to be a really big Tony Scott fan, you
Okay.
know, and he's like a rock and roll type of director. God rest his soul. He's passed now, but you know, it's one of those things where once you either hear the song or you read the script or whatever, there's it's like a Rain Man thing that almost starts to happen. You just start to see images, and you
Mhm.
start to see, you know, how things should be cut, the aesthetics of everything. And it's something that I can't fully explain. I just feel like, when you've been doing it for over 20 years, 30 years, whatever,
Yeah.
it's been, it just becomes a part of your DNA, like genre becomes a part of your DNA. Like you
Yes.
understand what, a rock video should get, or like a horror film. I'm cutting a horror film right now. And it's like aesthetically, musically, tonally, editing wise, like I've seen so many. I just, instinctually know what to do. So could I teach per se? Maybe, but like I'm better at showing.
Mm.
you know,
Yeah. Right.
just
Exactly.
showing you. You know?
Yeah. So, what were some of your most memorable moments starting out in the beginning and then now, some of the things that you're most proud of?
Okay. Okay. So I'll take you back to a moment. Uh, Gosh, this dates me. Uh, um, so the one of the most memorable. You know what? I'll take you through a few because I can't just tell you one and not tell you.
Give them to, I'm okay.
Okay, so when Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson did "Scream," I was the PA for Michael on that video, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And it all came randomly. I was super super young, like fresh out of high school, and I just didn't. I was confident but stupid. And I'm in the foyer of propaganda, and I'm talking there with Janet and her then husband Renee. I don't know about what. I think I introduced myself, and we were chatting. Michael walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm Michael Jackson." Like he introduced himself, and I don't know why I said this, but I said, "No shit." And they started laughing. And I happened to know the producer on that job, and yeah, I got the job, and I worked my butt off. It was a huge set. I mean, it was to this day, it's the biggest video that's ever been done. 7 million,
Wow.
7 million
Really?
in 1995. 7 million.
Wow.
So so that was one of them because I got to meet one of my idols. Um, Another one, God, there's so many. Uh,
Well,
uh,
you were telling me about the Prince moment. Um,
oh yeah, wow. You fast forwarded, but okay. I'll say Prince for last. I think
okay.
you know. I think another really cool pivotal moment was when I got the Get Low video, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
right? Because at the time, I probably had only done about 4 videos at the time, and
Okay.
there is a video that I did right before sometime during the. I did an MC Light video, right? But before MC Light, I did a video. It was all about booty shaking, and it was just so funny, because it was very comedic, right? And
Okay.
so I showed little John that, and he was like, "Boom!" He just gave me the job, and I was like, "Heck, it can't be this easy." But it was a pivotal video because it was the second biggest song next to Beyonce's "Crazy in Love." That
Absolutely.
year. So
Yeah.
and it's still going.
Yes,
So
it is.
like that's cool. I didn't expect my legacy to be, about the booty shaking and all that. But it's a fun video. we had a really fun experience doing that. And it was just like, you know, being at the beginning of a movement is pretty neat. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's like
And that
at
was my college years. So that's one of my favorites. So I'm like, that's
right?
2003, right? Around
Uh,
that time,
yeah,
2003.
yeah.
Yeah.
It came around then, and then
Yeah.
another one was Slow Motion. I did for Juvenile Cash Money, and that was like a super wild time because you know things were internally for Cash Money was people weren't getting along and whatnot. So I had no idea that I was like walking into a possible ticking time bomb. Not only I'm in the uh, Nolia projects, and there's at least 10,000 people around me, right? Like I didn't really fully consider what could happen, right? But what happened was it ended up being one of the biggest summer heaters ever, and
Yes.
it's still going today.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things. It ended up being the biggest like one of the biggest videos
Yes.
again, right?
Yes. Well, well,
um
well, while you're saying that, I want people to know, like, you've directed, yes, the Yin Yang Twins, Trick Daddy, What's Happening, Lil Jon, Get Low, East Side Boys, Don't Want You Back from Iman. I mean, Juvenile, Slow Motion, Lil Wayne, Go DJ. I'm just giving people a little insight. Twista featuring Pitbull, Hit the Floor, Crazy Bone, a Chameleon riding. I mean, this is light, this just for the video portion of
I
what Life Garland has done. I mean, I'm really proud, to not even know you
am too. I
personally.
am
Like,
too.
just,
Yeah.
we haven't even met in person, but I know you know my husband. So
Yeah, yeah.
you you all have worked
Tipsy,
together.
tipsy, tipsy.
Tipsy,
Big
yes,
one.
yes.
Yeah,
So you've done Tipsy, but
yeah.
just, I can only imagine how many stories you have of different, those are different people to have worked with different personalities and
Yeah.
different music styles. Um, how do you um just fall into director mode, or producer mode, or editing mode when you are amongst so many different people? How do you stay, you know, on the straight and narrow on what the job is and to get it done?
Yeah, well, generally for something like that, a label, will either call you for the directing job, or to write on it, and so that whatever that job is, you'll be directing on it. But then, what's very interesting about my career as well is that, in this, it doesn't happen often, but I was also editing for really big directors at the same time.
Yes.
So, if you look at my post trajectory and you see all of that, it's like, how do you juggle? But
Right.
it wasn't one of those things that I had to juggle. I just went with my heart and what
Mhm.
I wanted to do. It wasn't like a hard decision. It was just like, look, you know what? I'm young, I'm learning. I'm not afraid of hard work. And it was just kind of like, okay, and now I will say there was a moment where people weren't really sure, like, I'm not going to say they were haters, but it's like everyone's afraid of or insecure about you taking their job. But it's
Yeah.
like, I already knew everyone at the labels. I knew everyone already. And come on, man, if I'm wearing my editing hat, I'm going hard, right?
That's right.
But
Yeah.
I think that the pivotal change is when Joseph Kahn uh, began to hire me. So,
Nice.
the other directors were like, well, if Joseph Kahn is going to work with this kid, then
Right.
hey, right? And
Yeah.
so, that kind of made that shroud of, insecurity kind of like fade away,
Mm.
they, when they saw how hard I went on the edits, right?
Yes.
But Yeah, it's just and it's all freelance, right? So it's usually, just getting a phone call. Hey, you want to do this job?
Yeah.
I say that lightly, but it's because I've, over the years, you got to hit home runs.
Okay.
You can't do an okay job and then expect to keep getting work, right?
Mm, that
You
part.
have to do
Yes.
an exceptional job every time, and the reward is that they remember you and they call you again on the
Yeah.
next gig. It's just as simple
Yes.
as that. It's like you can't, when I'm editing, I'm not looking at the clock. I'm looking at destroying, you know, whatever I'm working on, and that's it. So until I'm happy, I'm not showing anyone, Uh,
Yes. Yes.
and so I think being a tastemaker, it's just really what we were and are is we understand what the culture were like, so you know
Nice.
kind of
Nice.
move,
Know how to attack it. You said give it
yeah,
your best. I love
yeah,
that. I love
yeah,
that. No
yeah.
matter who it is, right? Because I
No
mean, like,
matter who it is. It could
yes.
be a low budget video all the way up to a high budget video. It doesn't matter. You put the same energy into your work because it shows.
Yes.
You
I'm
know,
glad you said that for a
it
lot of
shows.
individuals. Yeah. To know really like you just because hey, this is just an $800 job I'm doing for somebody. Don't
Mm.
treat it like one, right? You give them the best because your
Don't
name is on
exactly. Don't take it. Don't take it if you can't give 100% on it.
there you go.
You
Yes.
you just can't put yourself out like that. You can't.
Yes.
You know.
I
Yeah.
love that. So your life has been full, I would say, of favor. That's how I look at
Yeah.
your journey.
Yeah.
And sometimes people say, "Oh, I had to go through these hurdles. I had to do this and do that to get to where I am." Do you feel that there were any hurdles for
Oh,
you?
tons. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? You you can't talk about the wins without the failures. I mean,
Yes.
it's like there were way more no's than yeses, right?
Hmm.
But people see the yeses, and they see that. And when they see that over, 3 decades, they just go, damn, like they know what they're going to get. So for me, I think the reward is still being, and I'm going to say relevant lightly, but it's because I put in the work. It's not like an accident. You know,
Yes.
there's no
Yeah.
accident that I'm still around. Editing, directing, and producing for top artists, and doing what I do. Although now I'm moving more into films. Because I've put in like a lot of years of doing short form, and now I'm doing what I got in the business to do, and that's narrative.
Oh,
That's
lovely.
where I'm at now.
Yes. And you say, right. So now you're doing now after all these years. So it kind of
Mhm,
shows people like you never know where you'll end up, what your journey is going to
mhm,
be. And you, as I said, took a risk and you said, I'm gonna try it all. You said, don't
mhm,
box me in.
mhm. Yeah.
And so you are a man of many hats. Did you have to put together a team of people to
Yeah.
help you do a lot of these jobs?
Yes, and it starts with my wife. She's been my producer for some time now,
Okay.
and really about having someone that really has your back, and uh, make sure that they have your best interests at hand. From there, it's really just about hiring crew that you enjoy working with. And
Mhm.
that's a developmental thing over time. And there's different tiers of crews and whatnot. But for me, I think what it's been about is relationships.
Nice.
You get what you put into them, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm super loyal. Like I have people that I've been working with for over 20 years now because it's like if it ain't broke,
Don't
right?
right.
Right? And it's a team sport. It's a collaborative um, effort.
Yes.
Never once do I think I'm like, I mean, yes, I am the captain of the ship, but like, I lean on everyone. I like hearing, people's ideas and hey, uh, yeah. So it's really been about just sticking with the people that are down for sticking with me and just building these relationships. And you know uh yeah, just even going into narratives now. I used a DP that I've used for like the last 10 or 12 years, and he was just a kid. He was just a kid when
Nice.
he started,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's just fun to see everybody's growth over the years, and who really still wants it, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like, it's not a career that it looks glamorous on the outside. It looks really, but if you don't have a strong sense of self, and spirit, it's the type of business and work that could really eat you up and spit you
Mm.
out. You
Yeah.
know, um, um, and it's important to find that balance
Yes.
somehow. And I don't know what that is for every individual. For me, it was really about I really enjoyed directing something and then editing something. It just keeps
Okay.
me sharp and fresh. I like
Yeah.
then producing something. That, but like they all have to be projects that I'm interested in. That I'm generally want to do, because then I put my all into it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So, is there a lot that you turned down, or is there some jobs that you say I applied for that I didn't get? What goes into your process of selecting what you're going to do?
Yeah, well, initially, when you first start off, you're not that selective.
Okay.
It's kind of like, hey, they want to use me, I do it. But
Yeah.
then as you start to build, you don't want to, continuously see the same type of work. So, I think at some point, it is good to be selective, and sometimes I know you have to pay the bills or whatnot, and you have to do what you do. But in this freelance game, you're only as good as your last job, right? So it's
Mhm.
like people kind of remember that, and so it's just it's good to be selective, so that to create the reel that you think will put your best foot for it, because no one
Yeah.
wants to see a reel with all the same things on it, you know
Yeah. Yeah.
um
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. You
So
work with, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go.
No, you work with, I know one of my favorite. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to have a favorite, but I do. DMX.
Oh man, what a story behind that. That was
I,
crazy. Okay,
yes.
okay. Yeah,
So I want to know more about that experience because that guy there, I always said he just pulled at my heart from the screens.
amazing, amazing. And man, talk about one of the most unique individuals I think I've ever met. Like,
Mm.
he wore his heart in his sleeve. It's like, on the outside, you, you think thuggish, and right, and like hard, and but on the inside, he's a God-fearing,
Yes.
praying, just love life. And I did DMX Who We Be, and that video actually got me Best Editor of the Year
Yes.
at the MVPA Awards. And I don't know, how many black males, at the time or have gotten that award. I don't know.
Right.
Um,
Kudos to you. That
Thank you,
absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah.
But that job came literally right after the 9/11. It came right after.
Wow.
So I was in Australia when the Twin Towers. Uh,
Mhm.
I actually saw it because I was up late night watching Jerry Springer or
Oh.
something like that. And they like just stopped the show and was like, you actually saw the first plane go in.
Oh my
It's like,
goodness.
oh my God. Like I thought like Saint Real. And then they bring it back and you see the second one hit. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then
Yeah.
like the whole world stopped.
Yeah.
So I was on my way back. It was like probably 2 or 3 days later. And when we landed, the whole plane was silent and just started screaming in uproar. Oh my God, we made it. Like the whole plane was just happy, right? Because
Yeah.
no one knew what could happen at that moment. I mean, America has never been attacked like that. And
Right.
so as soon as I landed, I had a zillion um, voicemails, and one of them was Joseph Kahn.
Mm.
And he asked me if I wanted to edit it, and I was like, of course. And then he said, but the catch,
Uh-oh. But the
catch,
catch.
you got to do it in 48 hours. So like I literally only had like a couple of days
Oh
to
my
do
goodness.
the edit, right? And so I literally locked myself up. Believe it or not, I cut that in 36 hours,
Wow.
right?
Wow. Yes.
And I went over to Joseph's house to show him the edit, and he liked it, but he was just kind of like, it's only about 55% there, and that it was kind of deflating a little bit, at the time. But I'm like, hey, look, when you give something your best, you cannot, feel bad about how someone else views it because
Yeah.
it's your best, right? And so I was off the edit, right? Like, I completed it from beginning to end. um, there was still a lot of stock footage that he had to get to implement. But 2 weeks later, I get a call from Joseph himself going, "I need your EDL." Do you know what that means? Oh, I lost you. Are you back? I lost you for a second. I can't hear you either. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah,
All right. Weird. The mute just went out. It
it's all good. So,
I
so what was the last thing you heard?
Yeah, so you said that the edit, you got a call after he did not like all the edits that you did.
Yeah, well, it's that he didn't. It's not that he didn't like it. It was just that he felt it wasn't there yet. And for me, I felt like it was more at like 85, 90. So
Okay,
it's
okay.
it's fine. But you know what? He's a visual genius. So there's things that he's seeing that I don't see yet, right? So
Mm.
it completely makes sense now. But he ended up asking me for my edit, meaning to finish the video, he needed my edit because, for one reason or another, he felt like it was the best. Like I don't know what he tried during that period of those weeks, but you know, my gut was right. Knows what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
so that edit uh uh was literally the edit I turned in, you know, obviously minus all the special effects, but so that story the lesson I learned from that one is just go hard, do the best that you can, and and even if it looks like a fail, it's you know what, it's gonna all like there's no losing. It's only lessons, right? You know,
Yeah.
I felt a little bit deflated, and my ego was bruised at the time, but I was
Mm.
younger and I was like competitive, right? Like, I mean, I still am, but like I just felt like, wow, really? And then once the video was released, I saw DMX at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles on
Wow.
and when I told him that I edited the video, he just gave me a big hug. He was like, "Dude, you killed it." I was like,
Nice.
I kind of knew that, but it was just like a full circle weird. Like, what are the chances you're gonna run into the artist that you edited a video for? He wouldn't have known you from Joe if you guys didn't bump into each other, and he gets to thank you personally because that video was about the edit.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it still stands up today. It's like
Y-
one of the biggest songs of our time, you know?
Yes. Yes, definitely. What are the chance? I mean, you pretty much answered what I wanted to know. Like, how did you feel about, him not being
I lost you again.
I am in an area right now. I am so
She's back.
sorry that obviously something is going on since these storms
She's
over
back.
here. I am so sorry, life. Can you hear me?
Hey, man, you know what? This is a part of
I
it.
think
This is a part of it. I love it. I'm fine.